Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Creatives. Today I invite two new friends, Eliza Waldman and Drew Carlton. Eliza is a musician who is in this band that with her name on it, Eliza and the Organics. Check it out. And she has invited her friend Drew Carlton. Drew is currently the homeowner where she is at, and she is also just recently relocated to Michigan as a traveling doctor. So super excited to have him in this beautiful state. Um, Today we're actually going to be trying something a little bit different on the show by just kind of improvising some food. I went to the store and didn't know what I was going to get and decided to make some tacos. Eliza, what are you making today?
We are gonna make a stir fry.
Yeah,
That's our
super
plan.
exciting about that. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share the video, do all the things, and let's just get started. So while we're getting started, Eliza, let's answer this big question. Let's just jump right into it. How do you check your ego at the door?
I think that is a very it's a difficult question, and I only really have one answer for you to
Okay.
that question, which I'm going to show you. I'm like, hey, here's the door. Bye.
Bye. That I think that that I think is a really good point. Just don't have one. I really agree with that. I gave myself the goal of I'm not going to use a recipe, and I'm going to try to do this for under $15. And
Oh,
I spent $11.
so how do you make your own tortillas? Is it like
I'm not
making
making corn
bread?
tortillas. I'm making flour tortillas. So
Okay.
literally just like it's like making bread.
It is like making bread. Okay.
It's literally just like flour and um, it's literally just like flour, water, oil, and salt. Like
Okay.
super simple. But I've only done this. I've only made naan before, so
Mhm.
I've never made this before. So we're gonna just see how it goes. You have this band. You also teach a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about your music career?
Yeah, I definitely can. So I've done a lot of stuff. I was like a classical guitar player for a long time. Did like jazz guitar, and during college I started my own rock band, um, which was kind of a new project for me. So I started doing that, and I realized I really enjoy songwriting, and like I'm good at songwriting. So I had this like major shift from like classical guitar to songwriting and having a band. And I've been doing that for a while now. I think like a decade maybe that I've been writing songs and having a band. Um, yeah, so we've done a ton of different stuff. The last couple years, we've started doing like bigger festivals and getting just invited to do a lot more stuff, which has been really fun and really interesting. Um, yeah, and it's cool. It ended up being kind of like what I wanted to do. So, um, yeah, I've had a really cool time with that, just like exploring that.
Look at that.
Ooh,
Look at this. All right.
yeah. Oh, this is Tasha, who also lives here.
Hi, Tasha.
All right, I got my platter of meat. So let's do this. Could be a little hotter, but it's okay.
So I have to ask you,
Yeah.
you're as somebody who's working in the music space, but is also, not necessarily working in classical music, but
Yeah.
also been involved in that world. Can you
hmm
talk a little bit about some experiences that you had that involved egos that maybe We're less than ideal.
mm, I mean, I think that a lot of the time it becomes an issue. I'm going to hand the spatula over to my talented assistant.
Yes.
I think a lot of times it becomes an issue. Like, I mean, there are specific times. Like recently, I was drinking beer in a parking lot, and I had some guy ask me for my resume to like prove my credentials to him for being on his level, and that's like an extreme example. But I think that a lot of the time it's just something where like we're all really aware of like of who we are and what we've done, and you like name dropping is a thing that people do constantly. I worked with this person, I worked with that person. And I think that the more personal success you have, the harder it gets to sort of like resist that impulse. So I feel like ego is like a thing, like not just for like some people, but for everybody. Like for me too, I think sometimes it's something where I have to sort of like check it and be like, okay, well, I've done this cool thing and I've done that cool thing, but that actually doesn't matter, right? Like when I'm making art or when I'm, trying to collaborate on a project or something, the most important thing is just like making something cool and making something that I'm proud of. And like the ego stuff, like it's great to feel like you've accomplished things and done things. And like, anytime that like with my band that we get into like a festival or we get like a magazine feature, podcast or we're on air or whatever it is, like it's always cool. It's just not really like particularly helpful for creating art. So it's something that I think I've become more and more aware of. Like the more personal success that my band has had, the more I'm like, okay, I need to really like not let this stuff get to me, because it's so easy to get like caught up in it all.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
know what you're talking about. I think we're all guilty of it also.
yeah,
Particularly
yeah.
me.
I mean, it's just human nature, right? We're like, oh, look at me, I'm so talented and smart.
Well, we work so hard and we have these like dreams and aspirations, and then when things
Yeah,
start going well, you're like, hey, like all these things that I've been thinking about are like finally happening. Um,
right.
but
Yeah,
like
and it's a great feeling.
it is a great feeling, and it's just easy to like. I think it's really easy to like lose your like. Why are you doing this in the first place?
Hmm.
And it really shouldn't be for the fame or anything like that.
Right, right. And another thing I think about a lot is like I don't want my feeling of like self-worth to come from external stuff. Like if I get something that's really cool, I don't want that, like that's great, but I don't want that to be like, yeah, I'm really cool because of this thing, you know? Like I want to not get stuck in that, because then like there are always ups and downs, and let's say a project doesn't get picked up or something doesn't happen. Like I don't like that also doesn't reflect like on me. It's not like, oh, I'm a failure because this didn't happen. I'm a winner because this did happen. Like it's really easy to think that way, and it's hard to remove yourself from that. But it's something that I'm working on.
Yeah, I think we're it's a work in progress for everybody, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that's important is that you also give yourself a little credit. Like we are people, we do things. Like you remember that you're just a person and that you're not perfect, but also
Yeah,
remember that everybody else is in it in the same way.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, go for it. What?
Well, I think that that's really great. Hey, Drew, can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about egos in the medical field?
Yeah, so I think honestly you see this exact same thing in the medical field that you do in the music industry. And you see people who worked hard, they went to a lot of school, went through a lot of training, and sometimes that gets to people's heads, unfortunately. You can see it definitely in some of the doctors. It's pretty easy oftentimes to pick out that doctor who's thinks a little bit too highly of himself and isn't necessarily going to listen to other people. Whether it's you suggesting something a tethered test as another doctor that he should be performing, or if it's not listening to his patient when his patient tells him what's going on and what's really bothering them. Sometimes they're coming in because they're having foot pain, but really the problem is they're no longer able to walk like they used to. They can't play with their grandchildren, and sometimes it's easy to just get pigeonholed and start thinking about one thing and miss the bigger picture. And I think the best doctors are the ones who can check their ego and actually work with people, with other doctors, with other patients, with everyone to try and figure out what's best. Because in the end of the day, it's trying to figure out what's best for the patient and not trying to feed your own ego and make yourself think that, hey, I'm the best thing that this planet has to offer. Because you know what? You aren't.
I think we can learn a lot from other fields when talking about egos as creative people. By the way, this is me being creative. This is my tortilla.
That is a great tortilla. I love it.
Like a tortilla? I'm pretty happy.
I'm pretty impressed.
This thing. Okay, so I have got this very delicious plate, and I'm going to put on a garnish, which is, it's sesame seed and green onion garnish.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So this, I'm going to hold this up for the camera. This is my finished product.
Yeah, I'm finishing up mine.
Nice.
Here's mine.
Wow. They both look really good.
They look good.
Let's do this.
Making your own tortillas is so worth it.
I kind of want to do that now. Like, just watching you do it, like
It's
that
not that hard.
amazing. Yeah, and it didn't take that long.
No, not at all. So I have to ask, now that we've cooked and been talking, how do you check your ego at the door?
Well, I think it's like, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but for me, like, I think I'm still really focused on music, but I also like find a lot of other things that are also important to me. Like, I think it's kind of like not letting that be like the one thing that you care about. Like, for example, I love doing online hip hop dance tutorials. And, you know, like hiking and cooking. Like, I do love cooking and baking and stuff. And like, I don't know, I think that the more perspective you have on it, where you're like, okay, my life is like, you know, as a creative people, as a creative person, like, we tend to be passionate and driven and like really involved in what we're doing. But I think that like just having perspective and making sure that there are like other things in your life you're focused on, is really helpful for just like not getting so like going down that rabbit hole of like, oh, I'm incredible and this is like, you know, this is the only thing that matters ever in life. Because like when you are just living in a more balanced way, it's easier to like not fall into that pitfall. And I think it just makes better art for you. It makes your life better, and makes your art better.
I totally agree. So where's the best place for people to find out more about what you're working on?
Well, the best place is our website, which is elizaandtheorganics.com. And there you can find out like everything that we're doing, any shows that we have upcoming. We do also have a new EP, which is coming out October 1st, which I am very excited about. And there's going to be an animated music video made by a friend of mine in Brazil. So that I'm really looking forward to. So all the info about that will be up on our website.
Well, thank you for like going a little bit off script and making kind of some random stuff today.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. And like, I was in you know, a strange kitchen. We were doing a lot of improvising today, so it was a really fun experience. Thanks for having me on.
Improvising is a lot of fun, and I think it's, you know, as musicians we improvise, and if you can't improvise in the kitchen, then what else? What are you doing with your life?
What are you doing with your life?
Anyway, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. That's honestly the thing that helps the most, more than anything. And thanks you for watching.